We all want financial freedom and the ability to live life on our own terms. But the problem is, most people sabotage themselves with habits that keep them broke without even realizing it. So today, I decided to share with you guys some important lessons I've learned about managing money properly over the last years. As someone who's been on this journey myself and who's made a lot of mistakes along the way. Let's break down all the bad habits that might be secretly keeping you poor so you can finally take control of your money and build the financial freedom you deserve. The first habit that might be secretly keeping you poor is impulse spending. Buying things impulsively can feel really good in the moment. It gives you that little hit of happiness at first, right? But it usually doesn't last, and it slowly eats away at your money without you even realizing. And I've totally fallen into this trap too, telling myself, oh, it's just a little treat. I'm just treating myself a little bit. And then wondering where all my money went at the end of the month. Most of us work so hard for our money, so it's such a shame to just carelessly spend it on things that aren't really meaningful and things that in maybe a couple of weeks we might not even want anymore. I'm not telling you should never treat yourself. Treating yourself can be great and even necessary sometimes, but the key is being intentional. Make sure what you buy really matters to you, that it brings lasting value or joy, and it's not just a quick thrill that will eventually disappear in a few days. Otherwise, all that money you worked hard for just slips away without making a real difference in your life. And one thing that's really helped me is waiting 24 hours before buying something I really want. So I can give myself time to see if I actually need it or if it's just something I'll end up forgetting about. So next time you want to buy something, pause and take a moment to think about it. Most of the time, you'll realize you don't even really want it. You just wanted the feeling of buying it. Another habit that's keeping you poor is not having a monthly budget. And I know it's not a fun process to budget. Sometimes it can really feel stressful and overwhelming just by looking at your expenses or thinking about where your money should go. So you end up avoiding it altogether. But honestly, avoiding it just makes things even worse. When you don't budget, you're basically letting your money control you instead of you controlling it. And it's not as complicated as some might think. If you're lost and you don't know where to start, I recommend you try the 50-30-20 budget rule, which basically means that 50% of your income should go to essentials like rent, bills, and groceries. 30% should go to things you want, like shopping, hobbies, or eating out. And 20% should go straight to savings and investing. This method has personally helped me so much. It made budgeting way less stressful and gave me a clear picture of where my money is actually going every month. The next bad habit is paying yourself last. This is a concept I first heard of in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He explains that the way people pay their bills can usually be broken down into two types. The first way is the poor people's habit, and that's paying yourself last. So as soon as the paycheck comes in, they rush to pay their bills and expenses first, and then they save whatever's left over, and usually there's barely anything left over to save. The second way is the rich people's habit, and they do the complete opposite. They pay themselves first. That means the moment money comes in, they immediately set aside at least 10% of their income into savings or investments before touching anything else. They treat it like a non-negotiable bill, and that's exactly what you want to start doing. I recently came across this quote that said, "Don't save what is left after spending, spend what is left after saving." And a lot of people are probably thinking, there's no way I can save first. I live paycheck to paycheck. But the surprising part is, once you start putting that 10% aside as soon as you get paid, you'll naturally figure out how to make the rest last for the whole month, and you won't even realize that you're saving in the background. Too often, people wait until the end of the month to see if there's anything left to save, but that is the complete wrong approach. The key is to pay yourself first and start making your future self richer, instead of making other people richer by spending on their things and leaving nothing for your own financial growth. Another habit that keeps people from building real wealth is only saving, but never investing. Saving is good, don't get me wrong, but if you're just letting your money sit in a bank account, it might seem like you're doing the right thing, but in reality, your money is slowly losing value over time, and that's because of inflation. And for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with this term, inflation basically means that over time prices go up. So the things you can buy today will cost more in the future. For example, the money that can buy you 10 items now might only buy you 3 or 4 items a few years from now. So instead of just letting your money sit in a bank account, you want to put it to work for you. And the best way to do that is by investing. This way, your money is actually growing and helping you build wealth for the future. And I know you might be thinking that you don't have enough money to start. I used to think the same, that investing was something only the rich could do, and that I had to have a huge amount saved before I could start. But you actually don't. Even small amounts can grow over time if you just start early. Time is the most important factor in investing, and so the earlier you start, the more your money compounds and multiplies. But of course, don't just jump into investing blindly. Make sure you do your research, you have a plan, and you invest smart. Another habit is getting comfortable with your current income. Getting too comfortable with what you make might feel safe, sure, but it also keeps you from reaching your fullest potential. But if you're done staying in the same place and you want to really create real financial freedom for yourself, it's important to find new ways to make more money. And this could be learning a high income skill. This could be negotiating a higher salary at your current job, or even finding a better job. Sometimes we stick with what we have because it feels safe, and we want to avoid taking risks because it's scary. But avoiding change often means missing out on so many opportunities to grow and to live the life you know you're meant to live. Yes, the choices that you have to take now will be hard, and yes, it will require effort. But it is these exact choices that will allow you to create the freedom you've been always dreaming of. The effort you put in now might feel challenging, but every step is an investment in the version of yourself you want to become. Do you really want to look back when you're older and feel like you never fully used your potential? No. You want to make the most of your time and energy right now. But once you start making more money, it doesn't mean you should be spending more. And this is another bad habit many people fall into, which is called lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is when your spending goes up as your income goes up. Basically, the more money you make, the more you start buying things you didn't need before. Bigger apartment, fancier car, more expensive clothes, eating out more often, and so on. That's why we often see people who win the lottery end up spending all their money and returning to the same financial struggles they had before, all because they didn't know how to manage it properly. So it's not really the money that makes the difference, it's how you use it that makes the difference. The extra income should rather be your chance to focus on building long-term wealth instead of giving in to short-term pleasures. If you always let your excitement and your desire for instant gratification control you, you will keep making poor and impulsive decisions. The real key to wealth is mastering your emotions so you can make more strategic, long-term choices instead of chasing temporary highs. And finally, the last habit is avoiding financial education. This habit touches on all the ones we've talked about so far. If you don't take the time to really understand how money works, it will always be in control of you, and you will keep repeating the same bad habits and mistakes over and over again. And I know that it can maybe feel intimidating at first to learn about it, but everything you don't know feels intimidating at first, right? But once you get into it, it's not so confusing anymore, and it starts making a lot more sense. Read books about money, listen to podcasts, take courses, educate yourself every day. And trust me, you'll be surprised at how much better your financial habits can get. Now that you're aware of the habits that are holding you back, you have all the power to change them. Remember, money should be a tool you control, not something that controls you. That's it for today. I hope this episode gave you some practical takeaways you can start applying to your own journey towards success. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.